Hello and welcome back. I know it's been a while. I've been very busy with stuff um, that I normally didn't have to do. So, if you've been catching up on the news recently, one of our own guys has been accused of associating with minors in that kind of area that I can't really talk about without being censored. So, that's disheartening. However, not totally surprising either. This is something that will be exposed throughout everyone that's political or not. So what we're gonna do here is talk more about why it's important to put the right people in office and why I'm going to encourage you to stop voting for NPCs. So let's take my dream of being governor, for example. I want to fix the workforce and the medical industry. I want to fix a lot of issues over here in Oregon that a lot of people don't talk about. But here's the main reason nothing's being done about it. You can have reports, you can go through tons of court cases. Here's the problem: your cases will be thrown out because they can afford to be sued. Insurance companies, they don't care, and we know that. But for workman's comp cases, it's even more corrupted than you think. And lawyers, they don't want to fight. They just don't. Right now, my father's going through something similar to what I went through. The only issue is, the only thing that's different is he's being told that he lost workman's comp over the phone when he didn't. He's still being paid for it. So it's to show you the level of incompetence in Sedgwick. They are the worst I've dealt with. And I haven't dealt with very many insurance companies, but I can just tell you based off of how I've been treated by one, if one of them runs sketchy stuff, probably all of them do, at least to some degree. So he went into his doctor, showed the paperwork about how he is cleared for his surgery, when the person he was talking on the phone told him that a different doctor has said that he doesn't need surgery. And the doctor looked at it and said, no, you need surgery. And so, due to the fact that he is still being paid, we're going to believe that he didn't lose workman's comp. But just hearing that, when he's not released to work, over the phone he's being told that he's lost workman's comp because his time on it ran out. To my knowledge, there's no time limit on that, at least not in the state of Oregon. So there's an issue with all this. Because if there's a time limit that you can be on workman's comp for, then what's going to stop them from just letting the time run out without somebody getting the proper help? Nothing. Because some states don't have certain laws. Oregon doesn't seem to have laws where it runs out, but I'm not sure yet. The research I've done on it shows nothing, but that doesn't mean I can't find it by doing deeper research. Luckily, though, I may not need to because he still has it. This is the problem that we're facing over here. Workman's comp issues has not been talked about, so I want it addressed. The other issue you're going to be facing are the lies of the left. Over here, people are brainwashed, at least the ones that are vulnerable to it. I don't know how many people there are. Everybody I've talked to seems to be a leftist. So it's very difficult to find the Republicans, especially in the location that I'm at. So what I have found is that Republican women are smart and attractive. And I've looked into it a little bit deeper, and I'm wondering, why is there such an attack on women? I mean, there's an attack on men too, but why they target women with feminism and all these other issues, trying to get them to feel empowered? Well, ladies, you were lied to. And if you're a Christian, this kind of goes back to the Garden of Eden type thing. You see, in the Garden of Eden, a serpent tempted Eve, and the serpent was taken over by our enemy. And so when the serpent made the woman believe that she shouldn't eat of the fruit from the tree of good and evil, because she would have power equal to God. Well, that intrigued her. You know, she wanted to be equal to God. And so she ate of it, not knowing or caring about the repercussions of that. So it's kind of that scenario again, but this time it's the government whispering in the women's ear saying, well, you've been oppressed by men, and I can show you how you can get out of the oppression and how you can be equal to men. They listened. They listened, and now they show their bodies off. Now they're doing adult content. Now they're doing a whole bunch of stuff, all for the attention of men, or lesbians for that matter. They basically became objects, the same thing they didn't want to be. So here's the truth, and you can do some research about this, but this is what I'm talking about here. The Democrat Party wanted to objectify not just women, but children as well. And the reason for the gender changes is so that men can look like women, or children can look like women, and not get pregnant. So there's no consequences for their actions, because the one side effect to women in this fantasy of theirs is that they can get pregnant. So that's why they're okay with the whole thing. It's sick, it's demented, and they all need to be treated for it. I can't speak about Republicans because not much has come out about them being involved. It's mostly the Democrats. And if you look at it, it kind of makes more sense. They have ties to Muslim culture and religions. They have ties to a lot of it, a lot of different Middle Eastern cultures. And so it makes total sense. Over there, in their religions, they can marry 12-year-old girls. Over in America, you can't do that. So the Democrats saw that and decided, well, let's bring it to America. A lot of things that's happened in third world countries, they have brought to America to weaken it. And they couldn't do it directly, so they had to do it indirectly through mind manipulation. And that's very frightening to me, because they didn't go to men first. No, They chose women first, then schools, our children. They went after the mentally ill. They went after a lot. I hold Republicans accountable for not stopping it, for allowing it to happen. That's my grievance with Republicans. They're cowards. Democrats have brought things over here from other countries that don't belong here. And I know that America is supposed to be a modge podge of different cultures and religions and stuff. Fine. But when you bring things over here that have no place over here, what do you do then? Now, I'm not saying we didn't have adults that harm children over in America before this. I'm saying it got vastly more occurrent because of it. We don't know how long the trafficking has been going. We have no record of that kind of stuff as of yet. But we all know it comes from people who have ties to other countries and those countries' cultures and how they've been brought over here. It's a coincidence, I'd say. It's not something I would directly link it to, but I'm just saying it doesn't help the American people. So, liberal women, typically around my age, have decided to vote against their parents. So the whole thing isn't that they want to vote for Democrats because they believe in them, it's because they want to make their parents mad. That way of thinking has to be addressed, it has to be talked about, because those are the standing points for why the 19th Amendment should be removed. And I'm in favor of that. For certain people, I believe that if you violate your rights, if you misuse your rights, you have the evidence to have them removed. Having rights is not a right, it is a privilege as an American citizen, and it can be taken away. No different than the criminals that commit crimes, they waive their rights away. Which is why felons can't own weapons, they can't vote, and there's other things that go with that, but I'm just saying there needs to be consequences for women who just vote blindly and they don't care about the outcome of America. So, Republican women I have seen are very intelligent. So, what's the difference? The difference is the leftist women are not very smart. And so what they want to do is villainize and lie about Republican women. Women on the Republican side are the threat because they're intelligent, smart, beautiful, kind-hearted, and good-naturing. Democrat women are not. They're very selfish, self-absorbed. They're very hostile, especially if you don't agree with them. Our side is not like that. We're very level-headed. You don't have to agree with me, but I want you to at least respect what I have to say. Because we're having a conversation. That's not that hard to do. This is my stance on something. You have the right to disagree with it. That's what we're saying. Democrats want you to just agree with them. And if you don't agree with them, well, then they get frustrated and angry and they start blaming you and calling you nasty, nasty names. The moment you do a direct attack on someone, an insult, whatever, you've lost the argument. Because the argument isn't about them personally. It's about their stance on something, how they think about something, and how it processes. Democrats have a big problem with hypocrisy. They got a big problem with not understanding both sides. So they blame not just the parents on the Republican side, but the women too. And here's the thing. Feminism has killed chivalry. It's killed men's interest. Now, if you compare the different generations along with the different decades, you'll see this drop in dating, and I'll tell you why. I was talking to Mom about this earlier, and because we do we enjoy watching lots of 80s documentaries, and we compare the 80s to now, and I'll tell you something. We don't have nearly the amount of hangouts the 80s had. If you look, high school kids, where do they hang out these days? There's no arcades. They got rid of our skate world. So the mall was always a good hangout for teenagers. Not so much anymore. They can't afford the malls anymore. Ice skating, it was big. Still is big. Here's the problem, though. High school girls, no interest in dating. Even when I was in high school, no interest in dating. Why? Well, they didn't want to find the right man. They didn't want to settle down and have kids. They didn't want that. That wasn't the goal. The goal was the adult industry. Maybe not being recorded, but that's how they made their money. And they're happy with that. That's where a lot of them went. And you're looking at that today, and that's where they're all headed. Parties. That's their living. And then they get hooked on drugs, alcohol, addictions, and belong to the streets. That's where most people end up these days. And it all starts because the quality of women went down and the quality of men went down. And that has to do with lack of parenting and where they go to school. So you see, politics is more than just people arguing opinions and viewpoints and trying to make the world a better place. It's much more deeper than that because the American people are affected by it. Democrat states have different laws than Republican states. And in Democrat states, you can look at poverty levels versus Republican states. The gas prices alone should tell you something. The other issue you're going to face is, if you look at it, Democrat states have bad education systems. They have very different opinions and viewpoints and standings, and they not only differ with the way of life, but also with the future generation. The future generations get screwed over a lot in Democrat states. And that comes down to the ethics and morals of its governor. Sure, there's other people in place too, but that's what it comes down to. Living in a blue state, I'll tell you this. You're not going to find a whole lot of good churches over here. You're not going to find a lot of good schools over here. I've had friends that went to different schools, and The school system back then wasn't that good. So, what we're up against right now is trying to undo the damage that was done without a lot of us knowing how deep it would go. Now, do I think that women being empowered is good? Yes. However, it has to be done the right way. And that is this. For those of you that are struggling with your empowerment, let's say, or your self-worth, I'll tell you this. There's a secret. A secret that men figure out pretty quick in life. You see, men aren't judged based off of their appearance so much as is their skill sets. Appearance helps. It gives us a bonus or a plus to things, but you need a man that's competent, a man that is strong, sophisticated. You need a man that is well-versed and can rise to any occasion in a blink of an eye. You need a man that is able to learn new skills to help him survive or thrive in this world. So a man has to be very, very quick with his wit and his works. His results have to be, he's good at this, this, and this. And that's why so many men over the years have picked up a lot of different skills in, say, the workforce, or been cross-trained in different areas, or this or that, because they're deemed useful by how many skills they've acquired. That's something women are not taught. So women try to find their value through the eyes of the public or their friends, and their value in, relationships, but they don't tend to work on themselves for someone to go, you're valuable because you have this skill or this or that. And they're also not raised with the mindset of, what kind of woman do you want to be? So they don't know their value. Even as little girls, they don't know their value. As children, they have no clue what their value is because they're not taught it. In a Christian household, you should be taught that you have value because your Heavenly Father made you and loves you, and you have worth because He cares about you. And it doesn't matter what anybody on earth says or does, because a higher being loves you and gave you your value when He called you His child. That is what every Christian household should be teaching, and they don't. And no churches do that either. And that's my experience. I'm not saying that it's, generally in every church. I'm saying that in my experience, I have not met churches that do this, which is why girls are lost in this world. Young men, young boys, they're not, because they have to come into their own very quickly in their teen years so that they can not just understand themselves, but understand their calling and where they need to go in life. Which is why when I found out what mine was, I didn't run from it, but I avoided it in a way that I would never have that issue. Why did I run away from responsibility of leadership, for example? Well, we're talking about the type of leadership. I didn't want a lot of responsibility. I had enough as the firstborn, right? So I didn't want more than I could handle. And I felt my calling was being a pastor. So I went for that route. But now I'm being hit by this. I'm just like, okay, so maybe that was too small. Maybe that calling I was thinking of was too small. Maybe I'm meant to be governor. And the problem with that, this is where the issue lies with this. To be governor, you have to have more people backing you than you've ever had your entire life. Okay? That's